Yes, Mr. Sim.
Thank you, Chair. General Khumalo, when we left, you were dealing with the table at paragraph 49 of your statement, and you were explaining what the table shows. And in essence, what you're saying is that it shows a consistent reduction in politically motivated cases. But you weren't finished with it. And one of the questions I have for you is in the difference between 2021 and 2022, when there's actually an increase in cases in 2022, even though it was the year after the local government elections, and whether you could explain that.
Thank you, Commissioners. The explanation for the spike in cases in 2022, that was not in line with the pattern of elections period, because the local government elections were in 2021 towards the end, but we see the spike in 2022. That was when the new pattern was identified based on the outcomes of elections. It was for relatively the first time that the country, and in particular the province of KwaZulu-Natal, experienced a lot of coalition governance. And what then transpired thereafter was after the elections, and then the constitution of the local government will depend on the numbers, and then there will be lots of coalition, and then that's when councillors will be approached in terms of whether they receive some financial benefits in order to vote with a particular bloc of political parties to sway the most important positions in municipality. So what will happen is, if the councillor then approached will not accept the offer, and then there will be a second alternative then to eliminate, so as the numbers can be swayed towards the direction that particular political party wanted. It helped a lot to understand the happenings of 2022, even the successful investigations. We saw also an increase in terms of the arresting of hit orderers, because the investigation will point towards the obvious hit orderer, and then that is when then we saw in 2023 the figures going back to the projected numbers up to 2024. Thank you, Commissioner.
So for the record, the numbers of politically related violence in 2022 was 45, 20 in 2023, 8 in 2024, and 1 in 2025. Is that right?
That is correct, Commissioners, as at the end of July 2025.
As at the end of July 2025. And murders politically related went from 27 to 11 in 23 to 7 in 2024 to 1 in 2025.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Thank you. You then have included another table, which as a measure of success, and that's at the end of paragraph 49. Before you speak to this table, could you inform the Commission what the what the period is for this table? Is this also at the end of July 2025?
That is correct, Commissioners. The figures reflected on this table is at the end of July 2025, as opposed to the initial one in the report that talks to the 31st of December.
So this, when you're talking about the report, you're talking about the report to the Minister in January?
Yes.
And so this is an updated version of that table?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. All right, you can speak to the table now.
The table talks to the status of suspects that are arrested by the political killing task team, which is one of the success stories, looking at when the team started, especially with regards to bail opposition. We are reflecting that out of 401 suspects that were arrested by that time, 83, if we move towards the far right, 83 were already convicted and sentenced, and then 34 were found not guilty. And as we are reversing, we are showing those against whom charges were withdrawn. The bulk of the number, the bulk of the portion from the 82, we had those challenges prior to the dedicated team of prosecutors allocated to the team, which was 62. Between 2020 and 2023, we only had 20 of those that against whom charges were withdrawn. And then comparing those that are in custody, which are 122, versus those that are on bail, which are 45, we see a lot of improvement comparing to the yesteryears when then we had challenges within the main stakeholders, which is the political killing task team of SAPS and NPA. But until such time that the integrated strategy was crafted and implemented, then we see the improvement. Then on the next, we are showing now the status.
Before you continue, there's an explanation that you give. Maybe it will help explain a difficulty that I have, General. I've done some arithmetic, maybe too simple, if not simplistic, I don't know. I've added the not guilty, which is 34. I added it to the withdrawn, which is 82. That gives me 116. As against 83 convictions. So my question is, how is it that 83 as against 116 is good?
Thank you, Commissioners. We are acknowledging the weakness that we had before the implementation of the integrated strategy that contributed the bulk of the portion of 82. Then the other reason will be when the charges are withdrawn against an accused. In most cases, because the accused that are charged are more than one. So it is a shortcoming, but when you look at the case solvency rate versus then the suspect individuals, because here we are talking about people, but when we do the case solvency rate, it gives us a minimum weakness. If I may give an example, on the same case that I touched on earlier on, the IBIS 54, the Makaka case, the way it's known. Initially, we had charged all the identified suspects, including the mayor as a hit orderer and a municipality manager who was recently rearrested. But then charges were withdrawn against the two during that time of 2018-2019. But we did not lose the case because some of the accused remained as then the investigation progressed, and then one of the remaining suspects was rearrested and recharged.
Then, General, I think you are shortchanging yourselves in the manner in which you project your statistics. Because if I see not guilty, I will think it was not guilty in the entire case. I will not know that there is this sort of detail. Maybe you need to detail a little bit more or better in your future statistics.
That is accepted and understood, Commissioner.
General, just to correct one thing on paragraph 51, I assume that the 16, it's meant to be 16 are section 204 witnesses.
Yes, that is correct.
That correction can please be noted.
Just check, General, these statistics don't include the Fort Hare cases. In this table, I'm talking about the tables, because you have a table for political related cases, and then you have the traditional leadership cases.
That is correct, Commissioner. They don't include Fort Hare cases. It's only KZN picture of political related and traditional related cases.
Okay. General, you then wanted to give your final, I think, description of success via some tables which you would like to refer to. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
Chair, could I ask leave to hand up another exhibit? These tables got handed to us after the statement was prepared, and it's marked CJC2. And correct me if I'm wrong, General, but I understand you would like to go straight to page 3 of that batch of documents.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay, can we begin then on page 3 of the slides?
Okay. No, thank you, Commissioners. In an attempt to illustrate the successfulness of the approach, we are highlighting just 5 of the cases that, according to us, proves that the approach is really effective if implemented accordingly. And secondly, the choice of these examples is also influenced by the unfounded allegations against the task team, maybe based on ignorance or just an intentional misinformation that will be at play. The first case that is the one that I've referred to a lot, or maybe before I even get there, the critics of the political killings task team, they don't use any other cases other than these that are set here as an example of the successfulness of the team. So we are approaching this from different angles, that is us as the political killing task team and the critics, which then maybe needs us to ask ourselves a question as to why the choice, because most of the critics are along the cases where the high-profiled hit orderers have been charged, and in most cases denied bail. Then the first one is talking to IBS 54, the Magaqa case, where I've highlighted that we managed to get our organogram 100% green. 100% green talks to, we managed to get everybody who was involved, including the resources that were used
May I
from...
just find out, don't we have this available electronically somewhere for it to be shown up there?
We do, Chair, and I believe that we're just struggling with the technology.
So it's not up there with the usual...
We had prepared to display, there it is. Now we've got it, Chair. It was just a glitch with the technology.
Thank you. So I hope this takes care of the... It's not resolved. Oh, God.
It's still not working. I think... Is there someone who can assist?
Should we adjourn and come back when it's up and running? Ms. Asim?
I think it's probably best that we adjourn for 2 minutes.
Let's not indicate a time. We'll come back when we are called.
Thank you, Chair.
Let's adjourn.
Was displaying up until before we went for lunch.
Is it the laptop?
No. Chair, apologies for that mishap, but thanks to the ingenuity of our team to my right, we managed to find a solution.
No problem at all.
General Khumalo, so you're dealing with this slide, dealing with this case number of EBC.
Thank you, Commissioners. And then continuing with the briefing on this case, as we have reflected, that is how we measure our success as a political killing task team, as well as to see the effectiveness of our strategy. When we start the investigation of a case, we'll investigate the motive and then we'll put blocks in terms of how the incident happened. All the blocks will be read when the investigation starts. Then as we move with the investigation, the target is all the boxes to be green. And then we'll say we've dealt with the whole syndicate or grouping that was involved, that is responsible for that contract killing. On this case, the only outstanding is the second firearm, which is a 9mm pistol. That will talk to those ad hoc dockets, intelligence-driven operations that are continuous, because it's not easy to get the firearm that was used. But then those ad hoc intelligence operations and continuous ballistic analysis, it assists us a lot to get to the whole boxes to be green. So what is outstanding there is that one firearm. Maybe another second issue that one would like to quickly explain on this is the one that talks to the point of the bone of contention in terms of allegations when you talk to the arrest and charging of the hit orderer, which was, according to us, identified in 2019 already as the former and late mayor, who was then arrested by the team on the 17th of March 2019. So it's not true that when the team was established in 2018, this particular individual was arrested already. Then was released by court together with the second high-profile municipality manager after a week. And then the investigation continued. Maybe to pause on the chair, because it's one of the short story that one, if he cites it, it will remain on our minds for a long time in case we are confronted with this misinformation. The late mayor of Herikwala municipality was released by court for insufficient evidence together with the municipality manager. And then during the arrest, we had confiscated his licensed firearm. And then, because we were still busy with the investigation now, according to him, he's released. His release meant that he must get back his firearm. And then indeed, then after the court interdict, we had to give back his licensed firearm that he used in killing himself on the same day of giving it back to him. Hence, then, as time moved on, we could only manage to rearrest and recharge the municipality manager without the mayor who's deceased. Then moving to the next example, another case that is most of the time also on the media, the killing of a Democratic Alliance councillor and a chief whip in Umgeni municipality. We again had managed to turn all the boxes to green, except of course for the firearm that is still outstanding. That is the case that if we check on our 1-to-1 dockets, as we gave the updated report, those dockets are now 120 because he was charged then on one of those dockets that were under investigation during the movement of those dockets. But the misinformation there was the team that was not like willing to work together with the AfriForum private investigators. The team did not see the reason why the municipality will contract private investigators for payments, whereas there is free services by government to investigate the case of the councillor. And then that is the case that has been completely investigated. It took a little bit longer again to completely investigate that case because of the issues that the team was having with the AfroForum. Our reports were always talking to the AfroForum acting not far away from defeating the ends of justice and obstructing the political killing task team from doing their work. But then at the end of the day, that case is now completely investigated. I'm not going to be long on the third case, commissioners. It's maybe with your permission, commissioners, if we may jump that and go to the next case, because this is a parallel to the next case, where the local traditional leader was charged for being a hit orderer together with all those other role players for the murder of the local councillor. It's one of the cases where the team successfully or got 100%. All the boxes are green, including the firearm. But why we are flagging it? We are flagging it because the previous case is the case that the team registered against those people of interest that were found to be attempting to defeat the ends of justice during the investigation of that case. Why we are flagging the case, it's because one of them, we do not know why one of these people that are charged and convicted already, all of them, why then it sounds like he is the only person that is involved in this particular case. It also demonstrates that you can have a syndicate even on a defeating the ends of justice case. So in this case, it's not only one person that was charged and convicted, it's the whole lot. Sergeant Dlamini, famous nowadays, who's still in prison waiting for his sentence, was arrested together with another former police officer, Lieutenant Kenneth Ndlovu, who is the brother of the hit orderer, because the two of them were coordinating this bribery. So as former Sergeant Dlamini is becoming famous for being convicted on this case, there are others that are with him waiting for their sentencing, including a former Lieutenant Colonel of the South African Police Service. Moving to the next, it's the one that again was successfully investigated with all identified suspects arrested and charged, led by the former councillor Ngiba. They were arrested, all of them, during the year 2022. The matter is currently on trial. The main misinformation and complaint was that they've been denied bail for all these years, appeal after appeal, higher court after another higher court, but they've been still denied bail. So they will personalize that to the task team having not being fair. Then moving to the last example, it's another case that I'm not going to take the commissioners in details, but we flagged it because it gives a picture of the investigation that we have been referring to at the University of Fort Hare. In between, there are cases from 2022 that were reported that are related to the officials of the university. The three of them happened during 2022, and then the last one being the one of January 2023 is the one that led to the complaint and for the team to be brought in after the last murder case. And then the team managed then to take all those cases, including the ones of 2022, to court. With the whole lot, the list of syndicates that were involved in those hits on the right, and then on the left, because the motive was found to be fraud and corruption in the university. And then the docket was also registered, and then other additional 7 + 8 suspects were arrested and charged on that parallel case of fraud and corruption in the University of Fort Hare. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. You've taken us through these cases, and you've said that one of the reasons you deal with these cases is because there have been complaints that have been leveled against the task team about the manner in which these cases were handled. There will no doubt be much more detailed complaints submitted to the Commission and questions that would need to be answered from the task team later. I assume that you would make yourself available to answer those questions when they come.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right, so I think you are about to now conclude. So it's paragraph 53 is where you are in your statement. Paragraph 53.
In conclusion, Commissioners, given the statistics that we have provided and detailed account of the political killings task team operations, from us, when we use all these yardsticks, it's evident that the team indeed has achieved remarkably so, and especially in dealing with contract killings of any nature, the consistent reduction, the high number of suspects arrested and charged, as well as convicted, are a proof that this approach is indeed working, and therefore any consideration to disband the PKTT cannot be reasonably be attributed to the issues of poor performance or lack of impact, because the evidence presented strongly supports that the team and the approach utilized is successful. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move on to the next part of your evidence, I just had a question about whether, when you talk about the complaints, whether you received the complaints in any formal manner where you're able to respond. So you talk about those cases where you've been criticized. Were there formal complaints or charges that you responded to at any point?
Thank you. Commissioners, the other reason why these 5 cases were used as both the examples of effectiveness of the team, also as maybe an introduction of the subject that we are still going to get to, the disbandment of the task team. It's because we normally get those allegations via the media with individuals writing on these specific cases about those allegations. So from the political killing task team point of view, we have not received any official complaint. What we have also realized is these complaints are fluctuating, or they are moving with the events. We saw them coming thick and fast when the confusion of the disestablishment started. They were recycled on the media, these complaints on these 5 cases.
Thank you.
Mayor. General, I seem to have understood the evidence. I think it might have been of the National Commissioner, referring to where he was listing the complaints, pretty much the same list. But there was the one that involves the Dlamini. I don't remember what his title is. And that seemed, as I understood it, it was a complaint about the conduct of the PKTT, with the reference, specific reference was Dlamini, Mr. Dlamini, who was singled out. But there seemed to be suggested that is the complaint against him was symptomatic of the conduct of members of the PKTT, which is outside of the law, behavior that is outside of the law. We don't have any detail now about what Mr. Dlamini was being accused of, but is that correct, that he was a member of the PKTT when the conduct complained of occurred and for which he was ultimately convicted, if that is what he was convicted for?
Thank you, Commissioners. Indeed, former Sergeant Dlamini was part of the PKTT and was also part of the team that was investigating that particular case that I referred to, that is a motive of their case. Then for reasons that are information between the employer and the employee, one cannot get into details. But then there was a reason for him to be withdrawn from the political killings task team, and thereafter then became part of the persons of interest on this bribery case or attempted defeating the ends of justice.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. General, we're now going to turn to Part B of your evidence, which deals with evidence of infiltration and the influence of organized crime. Can you take the Commission through paragraph 54, explaining why you've chosen to take this approach to go to the evidence at this stage?
Thank you, Commissioners. After taking the Commission through the establishment of the PKTT, the expectations might be that the next chapter or topic for discussion will be the disestablishment or the dissemination of the task team. However, for the Commission to properly understand the disestablishment part, I need first to provide the brief overview of the organized crime nature, as well as with specific reference to the cartel that is going to be part of the disestablishment discussion, which will then be followed by the evidence that have since been obtained from the mobile device of one of the cartel members, as well as the events leading to the Gauteng counterintelligence operation, and I'll also add further evidence of infiltration So, in short, in paragraph 54, the briefing for the commission is that our next discussion or my submission will talk to the organized crime with specific reference to the cartel that is going to be part of the discussion of the disbandment of the task team.
Thank you. Can you begin then at paragraph 55? 56.
Thank you, commissioners. In short, under the cartel structure, subparagraph 1 is summing up the status level and the standard of organized crime cartels in our country. As we are all aware that organized crime is a growing and significant threat to the national security of the country and also the prosperity of our economic prosperity as a country. So the crime syndicates, which are below the level of cartels, are increasing their network that then will be based at local level up to the international stage. Amongst these cartels, which are made up of different syndicates, there is one identified in the country known as Big Five, which have since been identified as being very sophisticated, and it has got widespread influence, and it's involved in a broad spectrum of their illicit activities. The structure and the leadership of the particular cartel that will dominate my current testimony is believed to be having its head office in Gauteng for obvious reasons. Gauteng is the economic powerhouse of the country, and then with syndicates and groupings or the capability of the same cartel to operate throughout the country. That is the currently identified structure and leadership of the cartel. As we
just pause there for a moment, just so that we are on the same page. What is your understanding of a cartel as opposed to a dictionary definition of a cartel? When you talk about a cartel, what are you talking about?
A cartel, thank you, commissioners. A cartel is a group of highly sophisticated criminals that will come together in a form of an enterprise, coming with different skills and expertise, including experience, with many syndicates or groupings operating under them. That is our understanding of the cartel.
So when you refer to the Big Five, are you referring to Big Five cartels or Big Five individuals who are part of the cartel?
Big Five individuals that are part of one cartel, as shown in the next, as shown in the same paragraph 57, last part.
So this schematic that you're referring to at the end of paragraph 57 depicts a cartel.
Yes. That's correct, commissioners.
Okay, you can, and I think you want to describe this schematic, so can you take the commissioners through that?
The currently identified cartel known as Big Five is having a structure as reflected with the main commodity being drugs, and then there are other illicit activities that I will
General,
touch.
sorry to interrupt you, but just for the sake of clarity, although the schematic has those skulls depicting 3 of the players, it's not your intention to say they're deceased, right? I mean, they are still alive and thriving. Just to clarify for the commissioners.
Thank you, commissioners. This is an ongoing project investigation from the identification of the Big Five, the progress made, those that are mentioned, reflected there in their boxes or positions, they've already been addressed, being a Mr. Katiso Mulifi, as well as a Mr. Vusi Muzi Matlala, and then the other 3 are still being addressed.
So the reason for the skulls is because you can't name those individuals at this point.
That is correct, commissioners.
Well, not in public.
That is correct, commissioners.
Thank you. You may continue.
A high-level exposition of a cartel will then start, will continue from paragraph 58 with the characteristic that the cartel will always have a leader who will be leading the organization, of course, with a very firm grip, supported by the core leadership that are also heading their various departments, and also having specific specialization fields in terms of sustaining the operations of the cartel. The syndicate, which are operational units of the cartel, they consist typically of between 10 and 12 members that are recruited based on their more especially their experience in terms of dealing with one of the commodities that the cartel is specializing on.
And what are the commodities? Can you give some examples of those commodities?
The main commodity of the cartel in question is illicit drug trafficking nationally and internationally, which is then coupled with contract killings that are associated then with the drug trafficking processes. And the other commodity is cross-border vehicle hijacking, as well as kidnappings, tender frauding, and also the extortions that are mainly related to drug trafficking. Extortions, they are mainly at the business areas of the cartel.
Thank you. You at paragraph 60.
Then moving on to the political and social connections. The Big Five has has already penetrated the political sphere, and there are documented cases of high-profile connections in the political arena, senior politicians alleged to be complicit and/or willfully blind to the syndicate operations. On
General, you say it's one of their hallmark features that they've penetrated the political sphere. Is this unique to the Big Five, this penetration into the political spheres?
It is a normal characteristic of a cartel, but then this cartel being under investigation, there are already documented cases that are talking to that.
Thank you. Then in paragraph 61, you deal with the criminal activities. You've already given us a sense of this from your description of commodities. So if you could just summarize paragraph 61.
Thank you, Commissioners. The list under paragraph 61 from point 1 up to point 5, they talk to the areas of specialization for this cartel that I've touched on. The only maybe ones that I can still refer to, it's the fraud and financial crimes, with specific reference there to money laundering, because as we move on, we will see that it's either prior to you being at a particular level of the cartel, you must have some sort of a business person stature, so as then the financial crimes, including money laundering, can then be possible as part of the process of the syndicate.
And you highlight in this list again the use of public procurement and tender systems.
Thank you, Commissioners. It is another commodity that is found within this cartel, as I reflected on the illustration picture, that some of the criminal activities are related to the tender frauding, so as then maybe that tender frauding, it talks to public procurement and tender system, which will then talk to illegal procurement of contracts, targeting then the state funds, so as either the illicit money can then be laundered or also to fund the illegal operations by the cartel.
Thank you. Returning to membership.
Yeah, maybe the last one that I can touch on is the cash in transit or ATM bombings. The syndicates attached to the cartel. This criminal activity is used as a quick cash flow exercise for the cartel, in case then there are hiccups with the main criminal activity that the cartel is specializing on.
Thank you. You then deal with the membership, and you describe five characteristics of membership. Can you explain briefly those 5 characteristics to the Commission?
Without maybe getting into finer details, Commissioners, I will then reflect on those 5 membership characteristics in terms of this cartel. With your permission, commissioners, to start with, so as I can flow, to start with the entry requirement and progression, which is number 2. The individual who meet the criteria reflecting the experience and loyalty as well as the utility within the organization. That is considered a lot within the cartel for anyone to be part of the entry-level members. The target there, it's mainly current officials within the criminal justice systems that will be recruited at entry level, because they are coming with the most critical skill within the cartel, which will be the connection between the cartel and the criminal justice system. And then the next one talks to the growth within, which is paragraph 64. The next step of growing is to register a particular company. In most cases, it's private security companies that are the initial businesses for the members of the cartel that have just joined. There are lots of reasons for that, including then access to firearms the correct way or the lawful way. The international reach and dual citizenship is one of the characteristics that are considered if you look at the common commodity or the main criminal activity of the cartel talks to drug trafficking. Then the syndicate members have to have ability to move within the borders of the different countries in order to be of service to the cartel. The value proposition and organizational influence. This characteristic is talking to the headhunting part of the recruitment, because it will depend as to what skills, what capabilities that the cartel is looking for, and then the value that will be brought in by whoever is headhunted or recruited into the syndicate to serve the whole cartel.
And the final characteristic on internal structure.
The internal structure and ongoing roles. Within the cartel, as I have explained, that it's operating nationally. And then membership there is not static. Syndicates maintain a network that includes actively participating or retiring from the cartel, but still rendering services to the cartel, more especially playing the roles of deal brokers, advisors, as well as informants for the cartel. The most important thing in this cartel, they value loyalty, common history, as well as proven capability, more especially to influence the investigations and prosecutions of incidents involving the cartel members.
You then deal with this topic of geographic targets, and if you could just briefly explain to the Commission what the need is, why are there geographic targets that the criminal syndicates have, and specifically the 3 or 4 that you mentioned?
As stated before, Commissioners, the main operational area of leadership for the cartel is in Gauteng, but the operational provinces, they are mainly KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, for various reasons. Gauteng, as I've indicated, it's an economic heart of the country where most of businesses as well as headquarters of targeted institutions are situated. KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, they are significant for their capability in terms of ports and transportation infrastructure, especially between Gauteng and KZN. The Eastern Cape, which is not so dominant in terms of economy, but then it's targeted because it makes it easier to expand the movement between Western Cape, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal.
Thank you. Then from paragraph 71 to 75, you describe the modus operandi in some detail, but could you summarize that for the Commission, please?
Thank you, Commissioners. The modus operandi, to summarize it, the operations within the cartel, all syndicates within the cartel are highly organized in terms of networking and also blending the criminal expertise with legitimate businesses that allows them to have influence at all levels, more especially at local level, where the cartel activities are originating from, both in the other world as well as broad society at local level. All members are assigned specific roles, and also the field workers are expected to deliver criminal gains to the headquarters of the cartel under strict supervision. The cartel operates not differently from normal employment in terms of the members receiving regular income for financial stability, which is a competition for the normal employment channels or environments that we have in the country. I've touched on the new entrants who are then motivated by the rates in terms of regular income, which is much quicker in that employment, more especially if you are going to be a syndicate specializing in contract killings, but working for the cartel, because there you are paid as you work.
And then paragraph 75.
Then moving to...
That's just concluding a modus operandi.
In conclusion, on the operations, as I've indicated, that there is a very strict recruitment strategy or process, because one of the objectives of the cartel is to remain in operations for a very long time. So that is dependent on strong connections within the public and private sectors within the operation area. So it is an ongoing effort to cultivate relationships with politicians, law enforcement officers, and business leaders within the operation area of the cartel. That is done solely to sustain the operations of the cartel.
So paragraph 76 and 77, am I correct to say that you build on the point that you just made of access to politicians and the criminal justice system? You just take that a bit further in 76 and 77, is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners. It's the continuation of the interest by the cartel in the criminal justice system. As I've said, that is the strategic objective that is meant then to safeguard the operations of the cartel for a long time by securing allies amongst the key judicial and law enforcement officials as well as political figures at various levels, but most importantly at very high levels, so as the cartel can remain able to manipulate the investigations, suppress evidence, obstruct legal proceedings that threatens their activities. This is one of the most important objectives of the cartel, because then it determines the lifespan as well as the growth in terms of income for the cartel. Moving to paragraph.
Well, I think so. Just to conclude on this, you say you provide this context so as to understand the evidence that you about to submit to the Commission, particularly with regard to the infiltration via the WhatsApp chats that we will be going into. So I just want to make sure that we've got that correctly, that's the basis for which you've set out this the explanation of how organized crime works.
That is correct, Commissioners. This high-level overview of this cartel will help us contextualize the events that I'm about to address, so as we locate them within this sophisticated agenda that, according to the picture on hand, will render the country very lawless. In this instance, then, I will now focus on how this syndicate has captured, this cartel has captured some of the key elements within the criminal justice system in order to ensure that they sustain their operations.
So if we turn then to the next section on the WhatsApp chats, can you explain to the Commission, before we get to those chats, where did you obtain those records?
Before that, Ms. Hassim, General, up to this point, you have described the characteristics of cartels in general, as I understand it, not so?
That's correct.
Yes. Now, you are going to deal with WhatsApp chats. Those are or relate to a specific cartel, not so?
That's correct,
Would
Commissioner.
that be the Big Five?
That is correct.
Yes. Perhaps this is a question that will be responded to or that is best handled by the evidence leaders, but you are at the center of this and therefore you should know. I've read your statement to the end. I am not aware that you deal with examples of any other cartels that may have infiltrated or brought undue influence to bear on the criminal justice system. Is there evidence of other cartels other than just the Big Five? Do you know? Are we going to be getting any such evidence? Do you know?
Thank you, Commissioner. For the purpose of the commission and my affidavit, the only reference will be made to this Big Five cartel.
Thank you, General.
Thank you.
Can I just ask as a follow-up to that? As the chairperson says that you've described generally how cartels work and how they get themselves into areas of influence. And yes, you're discussing the Big Five here. But that which you've described in general terms, is it your evidence or do you find that it applies to other cartels, syndicates that you're not going to testify to, but that may be within the sights of crime intelligence? And I don't want specifics. I'm just trying to locate the general discussion. How relevant is it?
The general discussion and the purpose for including it in my affidavit is to form the basis of the analysis and presentation of evidence that talks to this particular cartel in relation with the background of that high-level discussion on the cartel operations.
But
Perhaps for context, why I asked the question is because our terms of reference refer to the plural. And so that's why I am interested to know whether we are going to be dealing with just this one cartel, whereas our terms of reference refer to the plural. But of course, you've already indicated what you are going to be dealing with, so I am not putting you in a difficult position. And indeed, I prefaced my question by saying perhaps my question is something best left to the evidence leaders and indeed even our investigators.
Chair, if I could say it's two things. One is it's also an interpretation of what the terms of reference mean when it speaks of cartels versus syndicates. It could mean syndicates. But that this is not the only witness, of course, and the only evidence that will be submitted before the investigation of the commission. So, but for this witness, and certainly for the public part of this witness's testimony, the focus is on the Big Five.
Thank you, thank you.
So maybe turn to the WhatsApp chats. The first thing, General, is can you explain to the Commission how you obtained these chats?
Thank you, Commissioners. The chats were obtained from the cell phones of Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala, one of the leaders of the Big Five organized crime syndicate that is forming part of the Big Five cartel, as I've explained. The consent form for the seizure, as well as the extraction of the contents of these devices, was signed by Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and is annexed as SDK 10.
And this consent form was obtained when he was arrested. And what was the date of that?
That is correct, Commissioners. It was the 14th of May, 2025.
Commissioner Stacks to be found at page 112. So, you give us the commission overview of what it is you will be taking the commission to before we. Sorry. Let me start again. Can you describe for the commission an overview of the WhatsApp chats that we will be going through in detail?
Thank you, Commissioners. As I've indicated, then starting from paragraph 80, as to the originality of the WhatsApp chats, these chats will provide, they were included in my affidavit because they will provide the important context that is necessary for the Commission to know in order to understand the decision to disestablish the political killings task team, as well as the manner in which that decision was sought to be implemented by certain elements within the South African Police Service, as well as the Ministry of Police. When I touched on the modus operandi at high level of organized crime syndicates, we will find a clear corroboration as we go through these WhatsApp communications between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and various individuals, including politicians, members of the South African Police Service, as well as business persons. The charts that I'll be taking the Commission through, I relied, that I'll rely on were obtained from the two telephone devices seized from Mr. Matlala, as I've indicated, during his time of arrest. The charts were extracted from the forensic image of the two devices, and they disclose direct communication and association between Mr. Matlala and several senior officials within SAPS, within the business space, which have apparent connections to the Minister of Police, who is Mr. Brown Mukhosi, who is an acknowledged associate of the Minister of Police. And we are also going to have a look at a forensic investigator who is publicly recognized for his comments within the media space. And the records and investigations based on these records also is evidenced with payments made to these individuals by Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala.
Can you then, in paragraph 82, you say which WhatsApp chats you are going to highlight in your evidence as we go forward. But before we do that, it's clear that there are chats between Mr. Matlala and 5 individuals. Was that the sum total of the contents of the phone, of the 2 phones?
The submission for this hearing will be on the 5 identified pair of chats or communications, and then with other evidence from the chats that will be tabled in camera if my application is approved.
So these are 5 out of a bigger batch of chats.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And these are the ones you are able to speak to in public.
That is correct, Commissioners.
And the reason you can't deal with the other ones at this point is for the reasons you gave at the outset of your testimony today, the ongoing investigations. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
All right. So can we then go to paragraph 82? And just if you can set out for the Commission who are the 5 chats that you will be taking the Commission through.
The 5 chats that I'll be taking the Commission through, number 1 is communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Mr. Brown Mukhozi, who is a businessman linked to several SAPS officials, and he appears to have been involved in funding activities for the Minister of Police within the ANC. A printout of WhatsApp chats between Matlala and Brown Mukhozi is attached as WB1 in the WhatsApp bundle.
The second?
The second one will be the communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Major General Sinona, who is the head of DPCI in KwaZulu-Natal. A printout of the WhatsApp chats between Mr. Matlala and Major General Sinona is attached as Annex Chat WB2.
And the third? Oh, sorry, there's 2 related to...
Yeah, under the same number 2 is also a printout of WhatsApp chats between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and a Tato Sinona, who is the son of Major General Sinona. That is attached as WB3.
And the third set of communications?
The third set is the communication between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and the acting chief of police in Eguruleni Metropolitan Police, Mr. Julius Mkhwanazi. A printout of the WhatsApp chats between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mkhwanazi is attached as Annex WB4.
Just a second.
Sorry, General. May I just, I don't want to just repeat it. Perhaps Ms. Hassim will have to first confirm, but I want to see whether there's a need for me to repeat something that I said right at the beginning when General Mkhwanazi was testifying. At that stage, we as the commissioners knew for a fact that implicated people had not been given notice. And I announced that that did not mean that the implicated persons were going to be prejudiced in any way, because implicated person notices would be issued hour afterwards, and that they would be given copies of the transcripts, the witness statements, the exhibits, and whatever else may be relevant that the Commission is in possession of that relates to the particular implicated person. So I made that announcement right at the beginning. And it was understandable at that stage, the circumstances under which we commenced with our hearings. Right up to the last moment, the evidence leaders were in the process of going through a huge data, or huge bundle of information electronic information which they could not have been able to decipher, understand, and so on without some IT infrastructure, which you received, which the evidence leaders received quite late. Hence, no implicated person notices were issued or could be issued ahead of the hearings. Now, a number of names are being mentioned here. We no longer know as commissioners whether implicated person notices have been issued beforehand or not, and if they have not been, what the plan is.
Chair, thanks for raising it. The position remains the same as when we began. The volume of evidence on our data platform is huge. And in respect of this witness as well, the statement was only finalized on Friday. And one of the difficulties in particular with this preparation for this week was not only trawling through, as you see, the reams of evidence, but establishing what could feasibly be led in public. The intention was to try to maximize transparency. And so we could only finalize what evidence would come through quite late. So witness notices have not been, third-party notices have not been issued yet, but they are in preparation and certainly will be forwarded to the implicated parties who are being mentioned right now, together with the transcript of the evidence of this witness.
Thank you very much. So there is assurance not only to South Africans as a whole, but also to the implicated persons that they will be given notices and that they will not be prejudiced.
Absolutely, and one of the important aspects of giving the notice would be to provide the detail of the evidence that's been led against them, so they can have an opportunity to prepare properly a response.
Thank you, Ms. Hassim. Thank you.
Thank you. General, I think you indicated the third set of communications with the acting chief of police in the Ekurhuleni municipality. The fourth is?
The fourth is Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Mr. Calvin Rafadi, who's an academic commentator linked to several high-ranking SAPS officials, and the printout of those WhatsApp chats are attached as Annexure WB6.
And the fifth?
The fifth one is the communication set between Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala and Mr. Suleiman Karim, who is a business person linked to several high-ranking SAPS officials. The printout of those WhatsApp chats between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Karim is attached as WB7.
So you then explain that the chats, and as we go through it, we'll see it, have annexures. So there are attachments in the chat. And you've attached those as well to the chats, so the Commission can see not just the actual conversation, but whatever is attached to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And the chats, particularly those that we are going to display, contain classified information, and they contain some personal private information, and those have been redacted. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
But Commissioners, your version in your bundle is unredacted. And then in 85, you explain some of the issues using the software of the Commission to try to present your evidence. Can you just touch on that, please?
Thank you, Commissioners. The Commission has used a software that has two shortcomings when it comes to this evidence that will be presented in the form of WhatsApp chats. The first one will be at the start and the end of any chat stream that it downloads, the system that is used by the Commission, it misreads the system message, signaling the beginning and the end of the chat stream, and it displays it as a message from an unknown caller. That is what the Commission's system is doing. So at the start and the end of each of the annexures, there appears to be a message from an unknown caller, which is in fact a misread of the system message and does not represent an actual message from an unknown caller. Then the second weakness is the displaying of the displayed messages do not, in the display, indicate whether they are messages originally sent by the sender or messages forwarded by the sender. In order to address this second weakness, I have had a spreadsheet created that extracts the metadata of the messages in the WhatsApp chat files, so as to indicate which of the messages were forwarded and which of the messages were sent. There are no forwarded messages in the chats between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Julius Mkwanazi and also Tato Sinon.
Thank you. And those spreadsheets are attached as SDK 11, SDK 12, SDK 13, and SDK 14. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Can I just ask a question for clarification? So there's a consent to search an electronic equipment. You get hold of Mr. Matlala's 2 cellular phones. And then in your statement in paragraph 82, you say from the WhatsApp chats, you were able to establish that there are these communications between Mr. Matlala and other people. How were you able to identify the other people that Mr. Matlala was communicating with? So if you just take, for example, paragraph 82.1 of your statement on page 33. So we know that you have Mr. Matlala's device, so you know that it is him communicating with somebody else. But how were you able to identify that he was communicating with the people you have mentioned in your statement?
Thank you, Commissioners. The detailed profiles, as well as then the official communication of the numbers that will be linked with those specific individuals was done.
So you were able to link the numbers of these other individuals with their names?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Mayor, General, just so that I understand what we are looking at, that explanation at 85.1, where you're talking about the shortcomings of the system, where you say at the start and end of each of the annexures, there appears to be a message from a known caller, which is in fact a misread system message and does not represent an actual message from an unknown caller. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Are you saying the caller is known? Are you saying there is a message? I'm not sure what it means when I look at what is on the screen now.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are saying the system used by the Commission at the start and the end of each annexure, there appears to be a message that it's from an unknown caller, which is in fact a misreading of the system. And the system message, and that does not represent an actual message from an unknown caller. It's a system misreading.
So there's no message.
If I could help,
Please.
because it was the commission that software that was used to assist the witness. And what happened is when the chats get downloaded, and you'll see it when we go to the chats, Commissioner Baloy, at the start, where the downloading begins, it registers a message, and it doesn't know the system how to deal with it. So it just says unknown caller or unknown sender, but it's really just I want to say like an artifact or something of the system of extraction of the chats that gets reflected. It's not actually any message that's coming from anyone at all. And at the end of the chat, there's the same thing at the end of it, at the bottom. So for each one, you'll see that. It's just a system error message in a way.
Does that mean on the chats themselves, you do see who the chat was from and to whom it was? When it comes to the chats themselves?
The chats themselves are reflected quite clearly who, on both sides, yes.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you.
And then perhaps I should also assist the witness to explain the point about the time, because in the spreadsheets that we've provided, it's 2 hours. It's using GMT as opposed to South African time. So we'll add 2 hours to the times in the spreadsheet. Okay. General Khumalo, you wished to first give the Commission a sense and an overview of the kind of picture that emerges from the chats before we dive into the chats. So can you start at paragraph 86, please?
Thank you, Commissioners. A preview of the picture that will be confirmed by the WhatsApp chats, starting with 8.6.1. Mr. Matlala or one of his employees makes payments to Mr. Mohozi directly, sometimes for expenses related to the African National Congress events, and in particular for the benefit of delegates of such event who are apparently linked to the Minister Nkunu through the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde, in the office of the Minister. Then number 2, in return, Mr. Mohozi uses his influence within the SAPS and the ministry to manipulate SAPS processes so as to frustrate criminal investigations into Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala. Also leaks highly confidential or classified information of the SAPS to Mr. Matlala. Also coordinates the payments from the SAPS to the Medicare 24 Tshwane District, a company owned by Mr. Matlala, which unlawfully procured a contract from SAPS worth 360 million. And number 4.
Rand. You left out Rand.
360 million rands. Apologies,
Thank you.
Commissioner. And the fourth one, the fourth picture, is an unsuccessful attempt to prevent the SAPS from cancelling its contract with Medicare 24 Tshwane District. In pursuit of these goals, Mr. Mokgotsi, in a mistaken belief that an investigation into Mr. Matlala was being conducted by the Political Killings Task Team, as pointed out above. It was actually that investigation conducted by the Gauteng counterintelligence operations. Mr. Mokgotsi has pursued the disestablishment of the Political Killings Task Team, a mistaken identity. And then, secondly, he has specifically sought to find a means of having me subjected to a criminal and/or disciplinary proceedings, including a somewhat comical attempt to rely on a December 2024 Constitutional Court judgment in State versus Matlala, CCT number 237/2002, to have me disciplined for the conduct of a different Brigadier Khumalo, who was involved in that case, a Brigadier Mbuso Khumalo, who was then referred to on the record of proceedings on this case, and who Mr. Mokgotsi apparently thought it was me or myself, the second mistaken identity. 8.6.4, Mr. Mokgotsi purports to have been operating in this regard with the support of the Minister of Police, as well as the Chief of Staff in the Minister of Police, Mr. Nkabinde, and Lieutenant General Spear, the Deputy National Commissioner in the SAPS. Apparently, in parallel, Major General Sinona pursues similar objectives with Mr. Mokgotsi and leaks confidential SAPS documents to Mr. Matlala. Major General Sinona's association with Mr. Matlala appears to be linked to a commercial venture between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Tato Sinona, his son.
General,
You've referred to the singular when speaking now, but in the written version, you refer to the plural, commercial ventures, plural. Is it a venture or ventures?
Apologies, commissioners. It's a commercial ventures.
General, in paragraph 86.5, where you speak about Major General Sinona pursuing similar objectives with Mr. Mokgotsi, is that with intended? Is it with him or is it similar to Mr.
I think
Mokgotsi?
as is probably the better word than with.
Not, General, you confirm that you're not saying that Major General Sinona and Mr. Mokgotsi are working together?
It's a typing error, commissioners. It's Major General Sinona similar objectives as Mr. Mokgotsi, not with.
And just to be clear, are those objectives the ones set out in 86.4? Because remember, at the start of 86, you set out various objectives that Mr. Mokgotsi pursues. So it's just not clear from 86.5 whether you're referring to all the objectives starting from 86.2 or whether you are limiting yourself to only 86.4.
No, I'm only referring to 86.4, Commissioner.
Okay. So just so that you understand, when you say Major General Sinona pursues similar objectives as Mr. Mokgotsi, you're referring only to the objectives set out in 86.4.
That is correct, Commissioners.
About that, General, let's just be sure. 86.4 says Mr. Mahotsi purports to operate with the support of the Minister, the Chief of Staff, and General Sibia. Are you in 86.5 saying Major General Sinona acts with support of the Minister? I think that's the specific question you're being asked. Are you saying Major General Sinona acts with the support of the Minister, the Chief of Staff, and General Sibia? Is that the intention?
So to clarify, General, because my understanding is, and you'll correct us, is that when you refer to similar objectives, you're referring to similar objectives in general and not specific manipulation and specific influence within the ministry, for example. That's what I understood, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct, Commissioners. The modus operandi from the beginning will look more or less the same, but as you get into the implementation, and then it might talk to a specific objective, but overall, the objectives are grouped as the same.
I think what, Ms. Asima, I thought you had clarified in the way that I understood it, which is you're not saying about Major General Sinona that he acts in support of Minister Mkhunu. You're not saying in support of the Chief of Staff or with their knowledge, and you're not saying with the knowledge of General Sibia. I've understood it to be that's not what you're saying. You're just speaking to the broad objectives of...
That is correct, Commissioners.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. I'm trying to remember where we were. Were we at 86.6 then? Yes.
8.6.
86.6.
86.6, Mr. Karim and Mr. Rafati appear to be paid by Mr. Matlala for their access to senior SAPS members and their ability to advance same goals as those pursued by Mr. Mukhotsi, and also to leak sensitive SAPS documents to Mr. Matlala.
And 86.7?
86.7, alongside Mr. Matlala's unlawful influence over affairs of SAPS, he has a relationship with Mr. Mkhwanazi, which involves the abuse of EMPD for the benefit of Mr. Matlala.
And then you end your high-level picture so that you are able to take the commission to the chats themselves. Do you want to just explain that?
Thank you, Commissioners. There are, of course, then vast numbers of messages in the chats that are relevant to the location of the message in the chats, affecting the significance. In the circumstances, I've been advised that it would be more helpful to simply take the commission through the chats message by message in oral evidence, rather than to try or attempt to extract a more detailed summary of the chat into this statement. What the charts demonstrate, at the very least, is that organized crime has managed to infiltrate the SAPS and the EMPD at the very highest level.
And would it be correct for me to understand then that this overview that you've provided and this sort of strands of the picture, there are other strands that will become clearer as we go through the chats.
That is correct, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. Chair, I'm in your hands. It's 3 minutes to 4, and I'm sure I'm happy to go straight to chat number 1.
During the lunch break, one of your juniors, Ms. Power, said to us, when you get to that point, you would ask for an adjournment for her to change laptops. I don't know whether that has since been sorted out, because if we would have to adjourn for that, then we would have to adjourn for the day and resume at 9:30 tomorrow. It looks then it's only 2 minutes to go. So perhaps the best starting point is 9:30 tomorrow. Let us adjourn.
Thank you.